Oh, gosh. It is not hyperbole. It is not an over-exaggeration, I think, to say that at least offensively, this may be the worst team in the history of American football. Like, I'll get to the defense, but offensively, it's days like today, it is so bad that it almost makes you wonder what the point is of even playing these games. Like, I know on paper, win, lose, or draw, you want to see the young guys play well. You want to see Cam play well. You want to see, these guys start to get better, even if they lose. But on days like today, you just wonder, like, how can you even get an idea, good or bad, as to what's going on here? Like, it's not even something where you can get a gauge on where this team's even heading. It just feels like a waste of time. Calvin Ridley goes down with a terrible injury on the first offensive play of the game for the Titans. A terrible injury. He's done for the year, and that's his last play as a Tennessee Titan, and honestly, maybe his last play as an NFL football player. I mean, he's old enough with that kind of injury, he may not play another snap in the NFL. It sure won't be with the Titans if he does. And then Chimere Dike gets a concussion. So that's your top two wide receivers out. And then Alec Iomanner gets hurt. He's the only starting level receiver left in there, and he's now at 50% at best. So you've got practice squad level receivers. But on top of that, you've got an offensive game plan that is just mind-boggling. It is so awful. And so just, I mean, I don't know what else to say. Like, the offensive scheme is atrocious. This assembling of an offensive coaching staff is one of the worst I've ever seen. And it's cowardice every week. First drive of the second half, we got 3rd and 3, well in Houston territory, and we run it up the middle because our run game was doing so well. It was awful. I got it pulled up right here. On the day, the Titans had 58 yards rushing, and you want to know who the leading rusher was? Cam Ward, with 33 of those 58. If you take out Cam Ward's rushing yards on scrambles and such, and one of his runs was 20 yards, so 20 of his 33 yards came on one run, Pollard and Spears combined for 25 yards. I'll take things that don't help your rookie quarterback for 500. You can't get the run game going, so Houston knows we got to throw it, and we got Mason, Kinsey, and Van Jefferson out there. I mean, it's just like you can't even get a good idea of what's happening here. You can't even get a good gauge on where Cam's at or anything. And Mike McCoy doing these cowardly things like he always does. And then I don't know if you watched his press conference after the game, but I mean, his press conferences are a total waste of time. They're an absolute waste of time. He says nothing. But I saw the clip of him talking about that 3rd and 3 run up the middle and then kicking a field goal to go up 6-0 with the 1-8 Titans. The announcer on the game is like, why are they settling for a field goal? Go for it. You're 1-8. His answer for that was, well, sometimes you just make those decisions in the game. Okay. What a great explanation. What a great explanation from Mike McCoy. I mean, you want to talk about a placeholder coach. Like, he is literally just doing nothing for the rest of this season. He's just trying to get a paycheck. Cam Ward, the drive at the end was very encouraging. To go 95 yards down the field to tie the game, the throw to Okonkwo was tremendous. Had a 20-yard scramble and then the touchdown to Jefferson. Considering who he had around him and that they had 95 yards to go, that was a clutch drive by Cam Ward, and that's something you can look at and say, okay, there's something. But why does it take getting in that situation to turn it on? Why does it take getting in 3rd and 16, down by 7, to throw that beautiful ball to Chig. What is happening in the first 3.5 quarters? Because Cam was great on that drive. But I know there were some accuracy issues with Cam today. There was one to Ellick early in the game where Ellick was open and Cam threw it too far out in front of him. And again, I've never seen a quarterback wide receiver duo that can't get on the same page quite like Cam Ward and Ellick Iomanner. It is always something with these two. They don't time it right, or Ellick stops running, or Cam overthrows him or throws it too far outside. I mean, it's always something with those two. And then you had two throws to Mason Kinsey. Mason Kinsey. One was, I think in the second half, should have been a touchdown. Mason was wide open at like the 10-yard line. It would have been a touchdown. And I don't know, like, people are going to debate this all week, whether it was Cam's fault or Mason's fault. Sure looked to me, first of all, if our quarterback's rolling out to the right, why is our wide receiver opening up to the left? That doesn't make sense to me. Second of all, it sure looked like Cam thought Mason was going to open up to the right. He opened up to the left, and so the throw was behind him. Mason Kinsey is a practice squad level wide receiver who probably hasn't gotten the time with Cam Ward that some of these other guys have. As a matter of fact, I'm certain he is not. And then on the final drive, Cam had Mason wide open for a big play. And, I mean, listen, a little out in front of him, but you just get to the point where it's like, I'd love to see a receiver make one play on this team, but also Mason Kinsey's a practice squad wide receiver. So, it's just, you've got a rookie quarterback struggling to find his way, and he's throwing it to Mason Kinsey and Van Jefferson. Is it any wonder? And with Mike McCoy as his head coach and Bo Hardegree's his play caller. I mean, of course, it's the worst offense I've ever seen. And that's like Cam's got things he's got to work out. He's got some accuracy issues. The tipped passes, the batted passes, something's got to give at some point, right? Like at some point. Like the arm angles, I understand, but you got to figure out how to fit this thing through windows and stop getting passes tipped at the line. There's 4 of them today. So he's got stuff he's got to work out, and he's having to work it out with this staff and this group of receivers and 25 yards rushing from his running backs and an offensive line featuring number 7 overall pick J.C. Latham, who had 4 false starts today at home coming out of a bye in a near silent stadium. 4 false starts. One of them was coming up on the 2-minute warning. We weren't even going to run a play, and J.C. Latham still had a false start. What was he even doing? Who were you going to block? We're not even running a play, bro. Awful from J.C. Latham today. And Jeffrey Simmons, when he was going nuts on the sideline, going off on everybody, I'm pretty sure he was mainly directing that at J.C. He was looking at Latham when he was going nuts. And we know Jeff Simmons has chewed out J.C. Latham before, and it looked like he was doing it again on the sideline. J.C. Latham was a number 7 overall pick. You got to be better than that. Like, that's unacceptable. 4 false starts, not to mention all the holding penalties. Just awful. Penalties overall, bad again. Defensively, these guys fight defensively. I mean, they're without all of their starting corners that they started the season with. You got young guys everywhere. Draymond Jones, who is one of their better edge rushers, has been traded. Femi Oladejo's on IR. Like, they're shorthanded, they're young, but they at least fight. And they at least come out and try to keep their team in the game. The 3rd and 16 at the end was completely unacceptable. How does Nico Collins get that open? Denard Wilson and Amani Hooker should both have to answer for that. But, Daryl Baker's out there doing all he can. Cody Barton's playing some better. Jeff Simmons is, God bless him. God bless Jeffrey Simmons for being a part of this. Arden Key is playing hard. Like, there's some guys out there that are trying. Like, on defense, at least, we at least look competent. Offensively, it's the worst I've ever seen. And I'm not here to tell you that Cam doesn't have stuff that he's got to get better at, because of course he does. But I just fear that he's not even going to get the opportunity, at least the rest of this season. Like, anything that he could get out of these final 7 games, I just fear that he's not even going to be able to do it, because it's just, He's out there with practice. Like, assuming that Chimere Dike's got a concussion or something, he may not play next week. It might be Xavier Restrepo time because they don't have a choice now. They've already called up Kinsey and Prochet. The next man is Restrepo. And they're playing the Seahawks. Viewer discretion is advised for that one, ladies and gentlemen. Viewer discretion is advised. It might be 50-0. It very well might be. If Seattle wants it to be, it will be. 1-9, 7 to go. Good news for the draft, though. Good news for the draft. We're still the number 1 overall pick, and Cam Ward led a drive to go down and tie the game at the end. That's encouraging. Offensively, outside of that one drive, not a whole lot to just be jumping for joy about. Especially in quarters 2 and 3, just nothing happening offensively. Worst I've ever seen. Two Tone Talk live tomorrow. Tighten up, everybody.